All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
G'day guys, Chaos Chronicles. Alright, so I've been getting something in my mouth. I've been getting a lot of comments lately that have been asking me, like in Australian prisons, can you get a fair fight if somebody from one organisation, one gang, one crew, one race wants to fight you? Can you get a fair fight? And if you were to beat them, would it be left, So let's get into it. It's actually a very good question. And I'm just going to come straight out and say that unfortunately these days, there's really no such thing as fair fighting in prison anymore, like especially like in that situation. So if somebody is a part of a gang, a crew, or whatever, and if you hurt them, then most gangs and crews these days have the the moniker or whatever you want to call it, that if one bleeds, we all bleed. If one gets hurt, we all get hurt, and so it's almost impossible. And there absolutely 100 billion% was a time in prison where you could 100% think about, if someone was pressuring you from a crew or whatever, and you weren't a part of a gang, and if you wanted to fight them one-on-one, or if they wanted to fight you one-on-one, and if you bet them, is where it would stay. And that goes with all fights in prison. I remember when I first started in prison that, like, if you had a fight with someone and they lost, then they basically didn't have a leg to stand on when it came to, like, any type of retaliation, retribution, whatever, like they really, really didn't have a leg to stand on. And like these days, more in the older days, the old school rules from, like, early 1900s prison, late 1800s prisons were still resonating through the prison system, and they were still there because it worked, and it's only been, the last probably 10, 15 years that, people are just saying to hell with the rules, we'll just do whatever we want. And therefore, a lot of respect is gone as well for, like, the old school crooks. And I don't even consider myself an old school crook compared to, like, you've still got some dudes that are in their 60s and 70s coming back to jail. Quite amazing, actually. But, like, there used to be, when I first started coming to jail, like, so all the older jailheads, they would not only be respectful to the newer dudes themselves, but they would also get the respect back. And they literally, like, all these things are 100% out the door, and there's literally, like, almost no rules in jail anymore, prison. It's literally just, like, it is 100% like a different world now than what it was 15 years ago. There's a lot more things, like a lot of crimes making it through the breaks these days, and not getting, like, that person for once that was, like, I'll say, like, assaults against women and, like, bashing women and stuff like that. There once was a time in jail when that was very, very, very frowned upon, and so you just wouldn't see as many as you do now. It's like, and also you don't have, like, a group of people enforcing the rules, the old school rules. It's all these new rules that are kind of derived from the old school rules, but they're like, although 100%, people do abide by these rules, and a lot of the new rules are what's the word? Not legitimate, but they're relevant. They are relevant. There you go. I had a brain fart then, but yeah. So, they're relevant in today's times. And a lot of the old rules, I will admit that, because it's newer times, newer types of crooks and rah rah rah, that a lot of the rules needed to change. But a lot of them were just changed because people just didn't want to do the rules anymore. And there aren't people enforcing the old school rules either. So they're just getting like they're slowly more and more something in the past. But yeah, so 100% the answer to that question is, can it happen? You can have a fair fight with someone that's in a gang and you're not in a gang. Yeah, it can happen, but it more than likely this day and age will not happen like that. They'll make it seem like it's going to happen like that, and if you win, or if you're even getting one up on that gang member, like chances are you're going to start getting like attacked from all different. I've seen it happen 100 times. And hey, I'm not saying that like one-on-one fights, um, you know, and get left if someone wins, it's left there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like if you're trying to call out somebody in some different organization, some gang, whatever, then it more than likely is going to end up like ugly and not in your favor. But in saying that, I wouldn't suggest that just because that person is in a gang or some organization like that. I would suggest that, you just approach it like it's any other person. Don't let anyone stand over you. Don't let anyone put you on show. Don't let, just, but you got to stand up for yourself 100%. And in every single respect of that word, you really need to stand up for yourself. That's what it all comes down to. So although, it might have consequences for you doing that afterwards, the consequences of you not doing something will probably be a lot worse. Like if you let somebody like belt you and you don't do anything, or if you let somebody like stand over you, take your property and you do nothing about it, the chances are you are going to have more enemies than not. And this comes down to them rules not being there. There once was a time in prison where if you did have somebody standing over you, then you would have literally a old school crook would come up and stop that. And I'll even say that that's gone out in the last 5 and 10 years, not the last 15 years. That's something that still gets enforced. No one likes somebody that just because they can pick on somebody, they do it. It's 100% looked down upon, and if you do this, you will 100% have enemies. Like people will look down on you for doing that, and you'll have people plotting against you to take you out, do whatever. So yeah, absolutely. Zeus, shush, mate, you're snoring. But yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, that is not. I would like to say that if someone was picking on you in a gang and you called them out, and and you had a fight and you bet them there would be no repercussions. Unfortunately, that is not the truth these day and age. So the answer to that question is: can you have a fair fight with somebody who is in a crew? The answer is more than likely no. Yes, it can happen, but like put it this way: there are gangs and crews in there in jail that they don't have one-on-one fights. They will attack you with every single one of their members at one time. Even if it's one person, it does not matter. It's like they do not take losses, and so they will 100% take you out, 10 people onto one, shank sticky tape to their hands. Like it gets really, really crazy. So like, the old school, although there are still rules upheld in prison, the old school rules are really, really, really going out the door. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. I have been the Chaos Chronicles. You guys have been absolutely awesome, and I will see you guys in the next video. If you haven't chucked me a subscribe, jump up there, chuck me a subscribe, smash that bell. That way you'll never miss any of my clips in the future. You will get a notification, and I will see you lot in the next video. Ciao, we out.
I am also the guy who decides if you and your friends walk out of here or not.